In the vibrant heart of Seoul, fate takes a twisted turn when two women, leading starkly different lives, collide on a rain-slicked street, their lives forever entwined in the chaos that follows. Lee Wei, a free-spirited artist, longs to escape the suffocating expectations of her conventional upbringing, yearning for fulfillment beyond the canvas. In contrast, Park Min-ji, a dutiful daughter, is caught in a web of her family's expectations and a complicated love life that feels more like a cage than a comfort. When destiny plays its cruel hand, Lee Wei awakens in Min-ji's world, a life rapidly spiraling into an engagement with the formidable Choi Jung-ho, a wealthy CEO renowned for his cold demeanor and whispers of an uncertain future due to illness and rumors of infertility. As Lee Wei immerses herself in this new reality, she grapples with the daunting pressure of impressing Jung-ho's overbearing mother, whose relentless push for a grandchild seems to suffocate her newfound independence. Every day is a struggle to maintain the facade of the dutiful Min-ji while honoring her true self. Meanwhile, she finds solace in quiet moments with Jung-ho, a man layered with pain and vulnerability beneath his polished exterior. In their stillness together, she discovers a side to him that few see, a man desperate for love, yet shackled by his circumstances. Their connection begins to blossom, igniting the spark of hope within Lee Wei, who dares to dream of a family that may not be so far from her reach. A shocking revelation strikes on the first morning after their wedding night. A baby. As the reality sinks in that she is pregnant, a whirlwind of emotions floods her heart, plunging her into depths of uncertainty. Nervous excitement battles against the anvil of guilt for living a lie. Is this child a blessing or a burden? As the days bleed into nights, memories of her life as Lee Wei haunt her dreams, intertwining with the new responsibilities that come with being Min-ji. Meanwhile, Min-ji navigates the aftermath of the accident in her own crash course of reality, desperately trying to reclaim her former life while facing unforeseen challenges in understanding the world she now inhabited. As whispers of secrets claw through Jung-ho's family like a cunning serpent, Min-ji learns distressing truths. The very accident that reshaped their realities was a calculated step she had taken in a moment of desperation, all to escape her own life. Confronted with the gravity of her actions, a self-destructive drive to win Jung-ho's heart pushes her further into a dark abyss. The tension thickens as Min-ji, poised to regain her freedom, discovers that her intentions are not only self-serving, but have destructive ripples that threaten to consume them all. A night, painted with raw emotions and dark confessions, leads to a heart-stopping confrontation. Lee Wei, embodying Min-ji, must face both men, secrets spilling like ink across the page of her new life. Jung-ho, furious and bewildered, wrestles with feelings of betrayal and the unexpected affection growing for Lee Wei, the woman who has stirred something deep within him. Trust, once fragile, is now a battleground where warriors of love and resentment clash. As the stakes rise and the truth unravels, sharp words turn to raw honesty, bringing both women to a realization that choices ripple through time, redefining their identities. In the wake of revelation, rather than wallow in despair, Lee Wei and Jung-ho choose to confront the truth together. With Min-ji seeking redemption through honest discussions, the three reach an uneasy truce, acknowledging the past and attempting to mend the fractured relationships. Growth blooms amidst chaos. The specter of societal expectations dances on the edges while they pull their lives back together. Min-ji starts to embrace her vulnerabilities, admitting her struggles to Jung-ho, laying bare her longing for connection rather than superficial perfection. Endings and beginnings fuse as Lee Wei, emboldened by new perspectives and an unexpected sense of family, steps forward to forge a life of her own. With Jung-ho by her side, she realizes that love is not just about the illusion of perfection, but about weaving together their shared scars into something beautiful. As autumn leaves swirl outside, the trio stands, together yet distinctly themselves, at a crossroads of their intertwined journeys. Hope resides in their hearts, a resolve to embrace futures undefined with courage, leaving past burdens behind. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. Beneath the glittering facade of Seoul's elite, two women wrestle with the chasms of their new lives, caught in a web of expectations and shadows. Lee Wei, now engaged to Choi Jung-ho, navigates the suffocating demands of a mother-in-law who insists on securing the family legacy through an heir. Each day feels like a battle, her heart constricting within the gilded cage of high society, longing for the freedom of her artist's soul. Meanwhile, Park Min-ji, trapped in Lee Wei's world, grapples with the consequences of her desperate choices, fully aware that she has traded her past for a life drenched in luxury, yet tainted by guilt. The opulent halls of Jung-ho's family estate echo with the weight of expectations, especially when his mother's piercing eyes and relentless critiques haunt every moment. "We need an heir soon," she declares at a lavish dinner, her words cutting through the air like glass. Lee Wei, rehearsing smiles and platitudes, feels her heart race, the pressure mounting as the reality of her deception looms over her like a storm cloud. Every time Min-ji looks in the mirror, she sees the ghost of who she used to be, the girl who had dreams ignited by paint and canvas, replaced now by the image of a dutiful fiancé burdened by hidden truths. Even the glimmering jewelry that adorns her feels heavy, a constant reminder of the lies she is enveloped in. As Lee Wei attempts to connect with Jung-ho amidst the swirling chaos, the quiet moments of radiant honesty between them deepen her confusion. Their candlelit dinners turn into shared laughter and unguarded confessions, revealing cracks in Jung-ho's polished exterior. "I wish I could see the world through a painter's eyes," he admits one evening, gazing out the grand window toward a city that pulses with life. For a fleeting moment, Lee Wei wonders if love can bloom amid deceit, if they can create their own reality rather than succumb to the expectations thrust upon them. Yet, every connection she builds with Jung-ho feels like standing on a cliff's edge, a precarious position that could easily lead to collapse. In Min-ji's world, reality sets in swiftly, the luxury that once seduced her now suffocatingly familiar. She dresses in Lee Wei's designer clothes, attends cultured events, and interacts with the who's who of Seoul, yet the expanse of her choices feels razor-thin. Haunted by her past, she watches from the sidelines, powerless to alter the course she had intentionally set in motion. Turning her back on Lee Wei was meant to free her, but instead, it imprisoned her in ways she never anticipated. She yearns to understand the life she disrupted, a life filled with passion and artistic flair, and as she digs deeper, her guilt grows, a shadow looming ever longer. Just as Lee Wei begins to emerge from the shadows of her identity, a confrontation arises that sends shockwaves through her carefully constructed facade. Jung-ho's mother has discovered that Min-ji might not be as she seems. In a particularly tense meeting, the older woman reveals her suspicions, her voice tinged with disdain. "Something isn't right," she hisses, "and if you're not the right fit, I won't hesitate to find someone else." Lee Wei's heart sinks, the reality of their fragile illusion crashing down around her. A single moment of honesty, a slip of her true feelings in the midst of mounting pressures, could shatter everything she has fought for. Caught in an intricate puzzle of emotions, both women are forced to confront the depths of their choices. Buoyed by a flicker of courage, Lee Wei insists on revealing the truth to Jung-ho, even as dread coils in her stomach. Preparing for the confrontation is daunting. Every heartbeat feels like a countdown. "I can't live this lie for much longer," she finally confesses, tears glistening in her eyes, each word weighted by the potential for heartbreak. But in that moment of vulnerability, she also glimpses a future where honesty reigns over deception, where imperfections fill the gaps left by ambition. The ensuing silence hangs heavy like the final clink of a wine glass at a concluded toast. Will Jung-ho see the truth of who she is beyond the contours of her deception? Attempts at reconciliation weave through their minds as they process the emotional fallout. As tensions simmer, respect may collude with love, yet the decision, whether to embrace the pain of truth or retreat into the comforts of silence, lies heavily with them both. In the aftermath, as Li Wei steps forward into uncertain terrain, she leaves behind echoes of her former life and hesitantly shapes a new one. Jung-ho, seeing her strength in vulnerability, recognizes an honesty he deeply craved, his own heart unfurling toward her in response. Park Min-ji, realizing her quest for freedom led her to dark places, chooses to reclaim her identity, recognizing that liberation lies not in taking someone else's life but in embracing her own choices. As the three maneuver through the complexity of their intertwined fates, they emerge tentatively into the open, hearts unguarded. Li Wei and Jung-ho embrace the wounds of the past, ready to write new chapters of love and acceptance. Even as questions linger unanswered about the road ahead, one certainty remains: growth has paved the path forward, unveiling the beauty of redemption and the power of genuine connection. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. In a world where love is overshadowed by expectations, the fabric of reality begins to unravel, revealing unexpected truths. As the weeks unfold, Li Wei finds herself ensnared in the opulent yet stifling existence of Choi Jung-ho's fiancé, struggling against the weight of his mother's relentless scrutiny and her own evolving emotions. Jung-ho, haunted by his health struggles, begins to show glimpses of vulnerability, offering Li Wei a window into the depths of his pain, an emotional connection that both comforts and complicates her original plan. Every dinner at the Grand Choi estate becomes a performance, with Li Wei balancing her own growing attachment to Jung-ho against the suffocating demands of his mother. "You're perfect, my dear," she beams during one lavish meal, fixing her sharp gaze on Li Wei. "But remember, your true worth will be realized when you give our family an heir." Each word drips with expectation, and Li Wei feels her heart race at the insinuation. She must tread carefully to maintain her composure. Jung-ho, seated across from her, catches her eye, and in that brief moment, an understanding passes between them, tinged with shared burdens. As their emotional bond deepens, moments that once felt like mere obligation transform into cherished encounters. Li Wei discovers Jung-ho's passions. He paints in the early morning before the world awakens, each stroke infused with longing and unexpressed fears. While watching him, she feels an urgency to share her own love for art, a connection they have yet to explore. "Art is our escape, isn't it?" she whispers one evening, the twilight illuminating the room in warm hues as she hands him a brush, their fingers brushing for an instant. A spark ignites, one that fills the air with hope, yet weighs heavily with the uncertainty of what lies ahead. Meanwhile, Park Min-ji grapples with the haunting repercussions of her actions. The luxurious life she stepped into becomes a gilded cage, and her conscience turns against her. Each encounter with Li Wei's friends leaves her unsettled, their eyes holding unasked questions that linger in the space between them. With every interaction, Min-ji feels the fissures in her lies widening, threatening to swallow her whole. She tries to blend into this seamless facade of wealth, yet cracks begin to show as the memories of her past life gnaw at her, reminding her of the woman she sought to erase. One afternoon, while strolling through the art district, Min-ji finds herself in a quaint gallery where a familiar painting catches her breath, one painted by Li Wei, a piece that whispers of longing and unfulfilled dreams. It resonates with her on a personal level, and she can't help but be drawn in. "I didn't know she was this talented," she murmurs, staring at the vivid colors that seem to spill forth life itself. Amidst a swirl of emotions, she encounters a friend from Li Wei's past who's searching for her. "You don't know what you've done, do you?" The friend's words hit like ice, and suddenly, the weight of her guilt threatens to break her. As tension mounts, Jung-ho contemplates his future with Li Wei, feeding off her determination and warmth. Yet he can't shake the feeling that something is amiss. One evening he expresses his fears, his voice tinged with urgency. "Li Wei, I feel like I'm watching you slip away, and it terrifies me." She meets his intensity with her own, grounded in the sincerity of her emotions. In that shared moment, they are no longer just two people entwined in a contract. Feelings pulse between them, raw and binding. But just as he leans in to understand the depths of her heart, Minji steps into their world, a specter of the past, ready to surface with the truth. The confrontation happens under the stark light of a decision that will shape their lives. Minji can't bear the weight of deceit any longer. She lays bare her actions, instigating a tidal wave of confusion and heartache. "I never meant to hurt you," she confesses, her voice wavering. "I was lost, and I took your life, it seems." The revelation cuts through the air, leaving Jung-ho stunned and Li Wei speechless. Emotions flood the space, intertwining heartache with empathy. Jung-ho stands, torn between the woman he has come to love and the ache of betrayal from a woman who mirrored his pain. In the aftermath, Li Wei grapples with a tumult of emotions. Her heart, once full of burgeoning love for Jung-ho, now feels splintered. Yet, within that heartbreak lies a shred of hope. The reality of their situation calls for growth through vulnerability. Li Wei approaches Jung-ho with teary eyes. "We can choose," she breathes, "to either let our pasts define us or to rise above them." It's a moment of catharsis, one that reorients the fractured relationships among the three. As they confront the cascading truths, each character steps into their own resolve, recognizing the power of honesty. Li Wei reclaims her passion for art, channeling her pain into beauty. Jung-ho learns to shed the constraints of his family's expectations, embracing his authenticity. And Minji, faced with the consequences, strives to reshape her narrative, determined to earn her place within their lives, not as an enemy, but as a person seeking redemption. Gathered beneath the fading light of day, the three share an understanding that will guide them toward uncertain futures. While the journey ahead is formidable, they stand united by the promise of growth, each heart willing to embrace the complexities of love and forgiveness. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. A life painted in deception can still bloom in the unexpected. Just ask Li Wei. As she navigates the tumultuous waters of pregnancy, the household vibrates with a mixture of joy and turmoil, a delicate balancing act between sunlight and shadow. Jung-ho's mother has become increasingly demanding, her sharp voice echoing through the halls like a relentless whirlwind. "We need the best for my grandchild. This is not just any baby," she insists, her gaze fixed on the luxurious arrangements for the nursery. Each time she speaks, Li Wei feels the weight of expectations piling on her, as if the very fabric of her existence is being pulled tighter. The glow of pregnancy does little to mask the underlying tension, and Li Wei's heart races as she prepares for each encounter with Jung-ho's mother. She wants to be the perfect wife, to embody every hopeful image that fills her head, yet lingering reminders of her old life bite at her heels, their whispers echoing in her mind. Thoughts of her true identity twist within her, making each moment feel like a fragile performance. As she prepares elaborate meals and selects opulent fabrics, she reminds herself daily, "This is for my family," trying to drown out her own tumultuous feelings. At the same time, Minji drifts through her new life as a silent specter, guilt etched across her face as she witnesses Li Wei and Jung-ho together. The lavish events and social gatherings are suffocating when she considers what she has done. Standing at the edge of a garden party, she watches Jung-ho and Li Wei laugh together, their bond deepening amid the scrutiny of society's elite. Every shared smile is a reminder of the life she had stolen, the identity she had usurped in a reckless pursuit of freedom. "What have I done?" she mutters under her breath, guilt weighing heavily on her heart. Li Wei, too, struggles with her emotions as she experiences moments of tenderness with Jung-ho, each interaction pulling her deeper into the intricate web of relationships. They share quiet conversations under the stars, the night air thick with unspoken feelings. "I used to paint to escape," he confesses one evening, his voice barely above a whisper. "Now I find myself looking for freedom in your smile." At that moment, Li Wei's heart flutters, and she realizes that her carefully constructed walls crack a little wider with each disclosure. As genuine feelings blossom, the fear of being discovered returns like an unwelcome tide, threatening to drown her newfound happiness. Unbeknownst to Li Wei, Jung-ho's mother's demands also strain their relationship. One day, as Li Wei prepares for an extravagant baby shower, she overhears a conversation that chills her to the bone. "A girl is not enough," his mother states, a steely resolve in her tone. "We will need to start planning for a son as soon as she gives birth." The words sink like stones, each one stirring the insecurities that have long plagued Li Wei. Can they create a genuine bond amidst the watchful eyes of the family that sees their marriage as merely a transaction? As the baby shower unfolds, Li Wei shines in grace, but remains acutely aware of the hidden pains simmering beneath the surface. The laughter of guests fills the grand room, filtered through a haze of expectation and social niceties. Jung-ho, intoxicated by the joy around him, leans closer to her. "This is beautiful, isn't it?" he asks. But the sweetness of the moment is interrupted when Li Wei, consumed by anxiety, retreats into the shadows of the room. In this moment of solitude, Minji unexpectedly joins her. "You look so bright in that dress," she says quietly, her own guilt apparent in her gaze. It's hard to watch you like this." The words hold an unexpected vulnerability, and Li Wei feels a flicker of warmth uncoil in her chest as she realizes she is not alone in her struggles. They stand together, momentarily united by their shared burdens. But the air shifts dangerously as Li Wei, caught in a whirlwind of emotions, finally confronts Minji. "Did you ever truly consider what this would mean for us?" she asks, voice trembling with pain. Their eyes lock in a fierce battle of regret and loss. The weight of their truths hangs heavy between them, and for the first time, Minji can't disguise her own fears. She's lost her chance at the life she once wanted and has immensely hurt Li Wei in the process. "I thought escaping would save me," Minji admits, her voice cracking. "But all it did was destroy someone else's path." The emotional wall crumbles, leaving both women raw, yet strangely liberated. Li Wei, continuing to grapple with her identity, stands resolute. "I won't let guilt or expectations drown us," she declares, the strength born from her precarious position. At that moment, they recognize the depth of their connection, navigating the jagged edges of their experience together. As the storm of emotions swirls around them, realization dawns. While the journey ahead remains fraught with tension and uncertainty, there exists a flicker of hope in the bond they've forged, one that can transcend grievances and fears. With determination bubbling within, Li Wei prepares to step into her new reality, armed not only with her own courage, but also a newfound resilience cultivated through connection. They may not have the control they once desired, but together they find a way to navigate the complexities of their lives, carving paths toward authenticity, acceptance, and redemption. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. A web of secrets threatens to unravel everything built on fragile lies. The atmosphere in the Choi household grows increasingly tense as the days slip by. Jung-ho's mother, ever the perfectionist, is determined to ensure that her son's contract marriage goes exactly as planned. Suspicion gnaws at her, leading her to hire private investigators to dig into the background of Li Wei, the woman poised to marry her son. What starts as a quest to form a perfect family swiftly spirals into a dangerous game of chess, where every move could bring catastrophe. As the investigators unveil unsettling details about Park Minji's past, her desperate desires that drove her to take on Li Wei's identity, the shadow of doubt looms large. Meanwhile, Li Wei is blissfully unaware, lost in her own tumult of emotions. While her affection for Jung-ho blossoms, she feels the pressure mounting. Can she maintain the facade while navigating the treacherous landscape of familial expectations? Her heart aches at the thought of her hidden truths. In quiet moments, she fears the whispers of her former life singing louder, drawing her back into the shadows she desperately wants to escape. Tension escalates with each revelation. One evening, as Li Wei prepares a celebratory dinner, she senses a change in Jung-ho. His once warm gaze feels distant, as though the invisible thread between them is fraying. "You're everything I've ever wanted, Li Wei," he whispers, yet the uncertainty in his voice sends a chill down her spine. She watches him, proud, strong, and can't shake the feeling that they are standing on the precipice of something far darker than she imagined. As the investigators compile their findings, Minji grows increasingly desperate. She can't bear the thought of her life unraveling further, with each piece of evidence stripping away her last vestiges of control. "I just wanted to start fresh," she confesses to a confidant, an old friend who knows her better than anyone. "But instead, I've become trapped in this nightmare." In that moment, a sense of reckoning dawns on her. The need to reclaim her identity pushes her into making monumental decisions that will echo far beyond her expectations. Seizing an unexpected opportunity, Minji turns to Jung-ho's rivals, individuals conspiring against the Choi family. In late-night meetings at dimly lit cafes, she discusses subterfuge and sabotage, convinced that dismantling Jung-ho's empire will grant her the freedom she craves. Promises of deliverance and newfound power swirl around her, intoxicating and dangerous. Yet deep down, she knows that every alliance comes with a price, one that could destroy lives and shatter hearts. Li Wei, grappling with the knowledge that her identity remains under scrutiny, confronts her own fear of being unmasked. The emotional strain weighs heavily, culminating in an explosive confrontation with Jung-ho's mother. "I didn't choose this life, but I will protect it," she states defiantly, her voice tinged with both resolve and sorrow. The words resonate, echoing louder than any threat unearthing her past. As she asserts herself for the first time, Jung-ho stands at her side, torn between the two women in his life, the one who has carried him through his struggles and the one he is supposed to protect. In a dizzying climax where truths spill forth, it becomes clear that desperation knows no bounds. Minji's hidden intentions are unveiled as she attempts to bring chaos into their lives, hoping to reassert her existence. "You think you can take what isn't yours?" Li Wei challenges her, anger and sadness curdling into resolve. "I won't be a pawn in your games." The confrontation serves as a turning point, propelling them all into a turbulent sea of emotions, where fear, regret, and the unyielding grip of ambition collide. Though they stand as adversaries in that moment, a fleeting understanding flickers between the two women, both struggling against the tides of their pasts. While alliances have shifted and intentions blurred, the chaos has forced them to recognize their shared humanity. Jung-ho confronts Minji as well, bringing clarity to the chaos that had enveloped them. "You think tearing us apart will save you?" he implores. "I don't want to lose either of you, but we must face this together." As the dust of confrontation settles, messy and raw, the characters are left to confront the consequences of their actions. Li Wei takes a deep breath, choosing to embrace her truth while relinquishing the burdens that bind her. Minji, too, stands at a crossroads, determined to fight for her identity rather than against others. She begins to grasp the depths of her choices, the friendships forged, and the lives disrupted. With newfound resolve, the three of them stand on the precipice of a new chapter in their lives, battered, but not broken. The connections forged through turbulence have the potential to redefine their futures, granting them the strength to walk forward with courage. Uncertainty swirls in the air, yet the embers of hope glow brighter amid the ashes of their pasts. Together they might embrace an unpredictable journey ahead, one where the shadows of their former selves become guides rather than chains. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. A house of cards is destined to fall, especially when built on deception. Li Wei stood on the balcony of her lavish apartment, the bustling city of Seoul stretching below her like a vibrant canvas. In this moment, joy in her new life was eclipsed by a creeping sense of dread. The warmth in her heart for Jung-ho grew deeper as each day passed, yet the shadow of her deception loomed larger, threatening to swallow her whole. Months of hidden truths weighed heavily on her, insistent echoes of the identity she had assumed to survive. As Li Wei immersed herself in her new role, she learned about Jung-ho's quiet strength and stubborn determination, a man battling unseen demons of his own. Each shared laugh or stolen glance filled her with hope, but with each moment of connection, the fear of exposure festered. What was love built on fibs worth if he discovered her true identity, the reality of her past manipulation? What if he learned of Park Minji's intentions and the circumstances that led her to this life? Meanwhile, news broke like a thunderclap across the media. Investigators, hired by Jung-ho's mother, had unearthed unsettling details surrounding Minji's involvement in the accident that had changed everything. The tabloids plastered their findings across pages, highlighted by bright flashes of scandal. The headline read, "Choi Jung-ho's fiancé, a web of lies." Tension coiled around Li Wei's throat, choking her as she grasped the extent of the storm brewing around them. Each article felt dangerously close to revealing the secrets that had bound her with Jung-ho. Chaos erupted in the Choi household. Jung-ho, blindsided by the exposure, confronted Li Wei, his heart in turmoil. "Why didn't you tell me?" he demanded, anger and hurt suffusing his voice. Each word ignited a fire in Li Wei's gut, and yet within that flame flickered a profound sense of sadness. The inevitable had finally come to fruition. "I never wanted this for us," she replied, trembling yet resolute. "I wanted to protect you." Her eyes swam with unshed tears, a mixture of regret and longing igniting a fierce need to be honest at last. Minji's haunting presence echoed between them like a specter, amplifying the confession she knew was needed. But the truth shattered the intimacy shared in the small moments, where laughter mingled with warmth, shredding their bond into fragmented pieces. The confrontation spiraled as Jung-ho's emotions surged, ripping through his carefully constructed facade. "Did I ever really know you? Was any of it real?" The anguish in his voice cut deep, leaving Li Wei gasping for answers she struggled to find. She longed to reach through the chaos, to show the man she loved that her feelings were genuine, made of dreams and fears that had melded into something beautiful, yet fragile. Caught in the maelstrom, Minji also faced her demons. The world around her was collapsing, and instead of reclaiming her lost life through manipulation, she found only regret. Each ally among Jung-ho's rivals became a double-edged sword, and the dilemma of exposing Li Wei once more haunted her relentless thoughts. Stripped of dignity and purpose, she worsened her situation. She had never wanted to destroy lives. She only sought to escape her own. Days turned into restless nights, and the air thickened with tension. Li Wei and Jung-ho traversed their separate paths, he, tempted by anger and confusion, while she clung to the hope of redemption. During a fleeting moment of vulnerability, Li Wei found herself reaching out to Jung-ho's mother, hoping to quell the storm developing around them. "You must understand. I never meant to hurt your family," she pleaded, vulnerability etching lines of honesty across her face. For the first time, she exposed the core of her heart and unveiled her desperate wish for inclusivity. With the confrontation still simmering in his thoughts, Jung-ho stumbled upon Li Wei's heartfelt plea. An unexpected realization clawed at his heart. The woman standing before him, though cloaked in inexplicable mystery, possessed a glimmer of truth that resonated within him. "What does it matter who you were before? I see you now." His voice, thick with emotion, broke through the friction, sparking the first ray of understanding between them as layers of grief and confusion peeled away. In that single moment, where honesty kissed vulnerability, everything shifted between them. With each gentle confession, their hearts ignited with possibilities. They began to unravel the threads that bound them, weaving a tapestry that, while woven with mistakes, was filled with genuine hope for the future. Rebuilding their relationship would not be easy, and the remnants of betrayal still lingered like shadows overhead. But they accepted that true love came with a price. It thrived in vulnerability, understanding, and the willingness to face painful truths together. The media frenzy continued, but now, Li Wei and Jung-ho created a united front, determined not to let the past dictate their future. As the remnants of their identities crumbled, a new journey began. Their love transformed, bolstered by the trials encountered along the way. Together, they stood ready to navigate the uncharted waters ahead, documenting their journey one brushstroke at a time, ultimately painting the vibrant picture of a future neither could have predicted, but each secretly hoped for. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. When love is built on deception, the truth can shatter everything. The elegant Choi mansion feels cold and stark beneath its lavish furnishings, a place that once echoed with laughter and shared dreams now thick with tension and heartbreak. Lee Wei stands in the living room, the weight of revelation pressing down on her shoulders. She and Jung-ho, two souls intertwined by fate, now find themselves torn apart. Their relationship, once filled with hope, now lies in tatters due to the truths that have come to light. Jung-ho's face is a canvas of conflicting emotions. Anger, hurt, and betrayal flash across his features as he processes the implications of Minji's deception. How could you, Lee Wei? Everything we built, was it all a lie? His voice trembles with a mixture of disbelief and heartbreak, each word like a dagger to her heart. I tried to escape my past, to become someone better, Lee Wei responds, her voice barely above a whisper, yet filled with urgency. But I never wanted to hurt you. Pain clouds her vision, and she instinctively reaches toward him, but he steps back, the distance between them now feeling insurmountable. With their relationship hanging in the balance, both are forced to confront the truth that have emerged. As Jung-ho grapples with anguish, Lee Wei feels the finality of their separation barreling toward her like an unstoppable train. We need time, he asserts, turning away as if to shield himself from what's left of their love. Heartbroken, she watches him leave, each step further solidifying the chasm that has opened between them. Meanwhile, Park Minji reflects on the gravity of her choices. Now fully aware of the pain her actions caused both Lee Wei and Jung-ho, guilt consumes her. She wanders through the empty holes of her consciousness, haunted by her own destructive decisions. Her yearning for freedom had not yielded the happiness she anticipated. Instead, it spiraled into a relentless cycle of remorse. Understanding the need for redemption, she embarks on a journey to reclaim her life, hoping to make amends for the chaos she inflicted upon Jung-ho and Lee Wei. In the aftermath of their emotional upheaval, Jung-ho finds solace in the support of his childhood friend, Ji-yoon, who has always been a steadfast presence in his life. With a warm cup of tea in hand, she encourages him to confront his complex feelings, helping him find the closure he's been avoiding. You can't let this define you. There's still hope for happiness, but you have to be open to it, she tells him gently, her sincerity penetrating his grief. With each conversation, Jung-ho begins to peel back the layers of his heartache. He delves into the emotions he has tucked away, the genuine warmth he felt for Lee Wei and the despair over what has been lost. What if I never find that connection again, he admits, his voice rough with the weight of vulnerability. Ji-eun's understanding smile gives him the strength to face his losses without fear. As Minji takes tentative steps toward acknowledging her past, she devises a plan to reach out to both Jung-ho and Lee Wei. Determined to explain herself and repair the damage she wrought, she seeks reconciliation. Through a heartfelt letter, a woven tapestry of her remorse and longing for forgiveness, she pours out her regrets, hoping they might see the truth in her words. Jung-ho receives the letter unexpectedly one evening, when thoughts of Lee Wei fill the silent air around him. With trembling fingers he reads, each line igniting memories of the complex dance between the three of them. I never wish to harm anyone, and for that I am deeply sorry, Minji writes, her honesty striking a chord deep within him. He recognizes the raw pain in her words, and for the first time in weeks, feels a shift. In a series of heartfelt exchanges, the air between them, once charged with tension, begins to clear. We were all searching for something, Lee Wei later acknowledges during a chance encounter with Jung-ho. The vulnerability in her eyes reflects the clarity she has finally achieved about her choices. A small seed of hope begins to sprout. Perhaps healing can exist even in the wake of destruction. As days turn into weeks, the trio gradually finds themselves at a crossroads, where forgiveness dances on the edges of possibility. Li Wei, with a regained sense of purpose, immerses herself in her art, channeling her emotions into creative expression, while Jung-ho learns to confront and accept his feelings instead of shying away from them. Minji embarks on her own transformation, working through her regrets as she strives to become a better version of herself. The road is lined with challenges. Each character learns to navigate the emotional landscape with a newfound understanding of love, loss, and redemption. Ultimately, they find a delicate balance between their individual journeys, learning to extend grace and compassion to one another as they heal. In the quiet aftermath of their shared experiences, hope flickers within the ruins. Jung-ho glances at Li Wei across the room and feels a familiar warmth spark anew. "It might take time, but I think we can rebuild," he murmurs softly, his voice thick with emotion. Li Wei nods, a small smile breaking through the remnants of sadness. The evolution of a shared understanding in which healing lies. As they stand together, surrounded by the fragments of their lives, a sense of promise fills the space. In the exploration of their humanity, they begin again, not as strangers woven into a web of deception, but as individuals ready to embrace the beauty of vulnerability, growth, and a shared path toward an uncertain yet hopeful future. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. In the tumultuous dance of emotions, art becomes the unexpected bridge to redemption. The gallery buzzed with excitement, its walls adorned with vivid canvases that told stories of struggle, resilience, and the complex journey of Li Wei's heart. As she stepped into the dimly lit room, the soft light cast delicate shadows on her face, illuminating the determination in her eyes. Today was not just about showcasing her work. It was a reflection of her transformation after the heartbreak and revelations that had previously bound her spirit. Among the attendees, Jung-ho wandered through the gallery, the chaotic blend of colors drawing him closer to Li Wei's collection. The hints of her past, splattered onto canvases, stirred something primal within him. Each brushstroke whispered of her pain, her longing, and ultimately, her strength. Seeing the vulnerability she had poured into her art, began knitting the threads of his heart back together, challenging his previous fears and doubts about her identity. Their eyes met across the room, and time stood still. Memories of shared laughter and heart-wrenching arguments flooded back to him. With a flicker of hesitation, he approached her, heart pounding in rhythm with the music floating through the air. "Li Wei," he started, a mix of emotions battling within him. "Your art, it's breathtaking." "Thank you," she replied, a hint of surprise and warmth coloring her voice. "This is everything I am now. I had to redefine my life." In her gaze, he recognized the intersection of confidence and vulnerability, qualities that had always drawn him in. As they exchanged pleasantries, the tension of their past hung like a cloud, waiting to burst. Jung-ho finally mustered the courage to confront the past that had shaped them both. "I still can't wrap my head around the truth of our relationship," he admitted, his voice trembling. "It felt so real, yet built on deception." Li Wei nodded, her expression turning somber. "I know I hurt you, and I will always regret that my desire to escape led to your pain." For a moment, it felt as though they were the only two people in the room, their shared history creating a fragile bubble around them. Unexpectedly, Minji found herself watching from the corner of the gallery, her heart heavy as she absorbed the palpable connection between Jung-ho and Li Wei. A whirlwind of emotions coursed through her: jealousy, regret, and the urge to step forward. But every instinct held her back, forcing her to confront the ghost of the person she used to be. "Jung-ho, you deserve the truth," she finally said, stepping into their conversation, a quiet determination in her eyes. "I can't undo what I've done, But I want you to know I've spent so long learning about myself and what it means to truly live instead of just survive. Li Wei watched Minji with a mixture of surprise and understanding. You're not the person you were anymore, she stated, her voice steady. We all have the capacity to change. The atmosphere shifted, filled with a tentative hope as Minji acknowledged her past and the hurt she'd caused. It's time for all of us to embrace our truths and move forward, she confessed, vulnerability slowly becoming her armor. Young-ho stepped forward, caught in the emotions swirling around him, his heart aching with the realization of their journeys. Maybe it's not about who deceived whom, he mused, processing the complexity of the moment. Perhaps it's about finding a way to move past it together. The three of them stood in a fragile but potent alignment, conscious of their intertwined fates. Each had wandered their own path of reckoning and rediscovery, and despite the frayed edges of their relationships, hope flickered in the cracks. In an unexpected twist, Li Wei proposed an idea. What if we collaborated? My art, your business acumen, Minji's newfound passion for advocacy? We could create something meaningful that helps others who find themselves lost in their own stories. Minji's eyes lit up, overwhelmed by the proposition. I'd love that, she replied, feeling a rush of belonging she had long sought. Maybe redemption comes not only from mending our own lives but from lifting others as well. As they explored the possibilities of their partnership, the room around them faded, replaced by a shared vision for a future unafraid of the past. Emotions swirled, an emotional catharsis momentarily eclipsing the pain that had held them captive for so long. Together, they would write a new chapter, one marked by authenticity, understanding, and resilience. With every brushstroke of Li Wei's canvas and every discussion Jung-ho would lead on their new venture, they sculpted a brighter horizon, illuminating the power of redemption birthed from trials faced and lessons learned. As they parted ways that evening, a sense of renewal enveloped them. They each carried a piece of the other forward, remnants of their shared stories intertwining, a tapestry of hope stitched together by honesty. The future remained uncertain, but they were prepared to face it, side by side, empowered by their growth and the tangible warmth of connection rebuilt. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. When the past looms large, the future can still glimmer with hope. A gentle morning light streamed through the high-rise windows of Jung-ho's apartment, illuminating the warm embrace of a new day, a day that felt different, charged with potential. After the storms of hurt and betrayal had ravaged their relationship, both he and Li Wei now stood at a fragile crossroads, ready to confront the shadows that had haunted them for so long. It was during an art exhibition, a joint event that had united their paths again, that they truly began to see each other anew. Li Wei's artwork adorned the walls, each piece speaking volumes about her journey from pain to resilience. As Jung-ho wandered through the gallery, observing her creations, he felt a complex mixture of admiration and longing blossoming deep within him. "Your art is breathtaking," he murmured, drawing closer, captivated by the emotions she managed to capture on canvas. "I poured everything into it," Li Wei replied, her voice thick with sincerity. "Each stroke represents what I've learned about love, loss, and acceptance." Their shared gaze was electric, a moment suspended in time, their history harmonizing with the present. With each passing day, laughter gradually returned to their lives, filling their interactions with warmth and rekindled affection. However, shadows from the past still lurked at the edges, haunting them with the specters of dishonesty. Each light-hearted joke or tender kiss brought with it whispers from their tumultuous history, reminders of the barriers they needed to dismantle in order to rebuild their trust. One afternoon, while preparing lunch together, a playful banter filled the air as Li Wei chopped vegetables, her laughter echoing through the sunny kitchen. "You're supposed to slice the cucumbers, not turn them into confetti," Jung-ho teased, his eyes twinkling as he helped gather the fallen pieces. But beneath the laughter, an undercurrent of tension vibrated between them. Each playful moment was underscored by the fear of reopening old wounds, a constant reminder of their missteps. Just when they began to dream of a future away from the controlling grasp of Jung-ho's mother, an unexpected knock shattered their fragile peace. The door creaked open to reveal a familiar figure, Minji, her face drawn and tense, stepping into a familiar space now thick with unspoken tension. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice steady, yet strained. She was met with silence, a lingering tension pooling in the air as old rivalries reignited. Jung-ho and Li Wei exchanged wary glances, keenly aware of the weight that Minji's presence carried. The conversations that followed were laced with unrelenting emotion. Minji confessed her struggles, her path towards reclaiming her identity, intertwining with her feelings of regret. "I never meant to hurt either of you," she said, her eyes betraying the vulnerability she had only started to confront. "But I see now that I was trying to escape my own demons." In that moment, Jung-ho and Li Wei recognized the battle Minji was waging, one they had once shared. Their shared stories echoed in the room, stirring up a blend of resentment and recognition. As the three of them faced the ripples of their intertwined past, they could feel each of their wounds as they connected on a deeper level than ever before. Just as the air felt ready to clear, an old nemesis emerged, an unexpected antagonist, Jung-ho's mother, who subtly orchestrated the unfolding drama from the sidelines. Having learned of her son's rekindling romance with Li Wei, she unleashed a strong wave of disapproval. "You think you can throw away the life I've built for you?" she spat, her voice cold as steel. "You know nothing of family duty or honor." The confrontation drew lines through their lives, testing the bonds they had begun to forge. As her words sunk in, Jung-ho was thrust back into the world he had sought to escape, squeezed between his loyalty to family and his desire for love. "You don't get to decide who I love," he declared, trembling with emotion. Li Wei felt a surge of anxiety rise from her chest. She had come so far, only to stand once again in the shadow of expectations and societal pressures. "We can't let anyone dictate our future," she asserted, her voice stronger than she felt inside. But even as she spoke, doubt flickered through her mind. Could they truly withstand the ever-looming watch of his mother? The climax danced in the air as Jung-ho, Li Wei, and Minji braced themselves against the tide of opposition. In that heated moment, they faced the reality of how far they would go for their newfound love, their choices tested under the glaring watch of familial expectations. As the dust began to settle from the confrontation, each individual found themselves at a pivotal crossroads, a moment steeped in emotional authenticity. Jung-ho turned to Li Wei, determination shining in his eyes, a clear choice finally crystallizing. "I want to build our lives on trust, not fear." With Minji bearing witness to their resolution, a newfound clarity enveloped them. "I'll stand by you both," Minji agreed, her voice steady, finding strength within her own desire to grow. The battle was not just against outside forces, but also within themselves to forgive, heal, and truly start anew. The tenderness forged from their struggles prevailed, as each made a promise, not to forget their past, but to cherish it as a lesson. Together, they walked out of that storm, hand in hand, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In embracing their intertwined journeys, answers would come in time, but the understanding of love gained from hardship would continue to light their path forward. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. In a world where loyalty is tested by love and ambition, secrets can ignite the fiercest battles. A resplendent ballroom glittered under a sea of chandeliers, the air charged with murmurs and laughter, a stark contrast to the storm brewing beneath the surface. Jung-ho stood at the heart of his family's annual gala, a long-standing tradition that felt more like a cage than a celebration. The polished floor was a facade, hiding the fractures within his family that were about to break wide open. Li Wei, radiant in a silk gown, felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. After all the heartache and misunderstandings, this event marked a milestone, a chance to embrace her place beside Jung-ho. But as the evening unfolded, The tension in the room grew thick, fueled by the anticipation of masked intentions and unspoken words. Minji lingered at the edge of the crowd, her heart in turmoil. She had transformed over the past few months, growing stronger and more resolute in her journey toward redemption. Yet the shadows of her past decisions haunted her still, particularly her rivalry with Li Wei. Watching Jungho and Li Wei interact, she felt the weight of her own remorse pressing down, reminding her of the pain her choices had caused. Could she reconcile with her past and forge a new beginning amidst the expectations of the night? As the night glimmered on, the family patriarch, Jungho's father, initiated a toast, his voice booming through the hall. "To family, and the strength that binds us together." The words echoed, but Li Wei felt a growing unease. She could sense the tension behind those forced smiles, particularly from Jungho's mother, who had been scrutinizing their every interaction with hawk-like vigilance. Just as Jungho raised his glass, the atmosphere shifted abruptly when a debate broke out among the guests regarding family business decisions. Accusations flew, and secrets that had long been buried began to surface. Tension crackled as Jungho's mother's voice rang out, attacking Jungho's choices with a venom that shocked the crowd. "You can't seriously think you will prioritize some artist over the family legacy, can you?" Stunned, Li Wei felt the blood drain from her face, the humiliation washing over her like ice. Next to her, Jungho's fists clenched, the pain of his family's judgment raw and palpable. The moment hung heavy, silence swallowing the room as all eyes turned toward them. "Enough," Jungho finally declared, his voice steadfast yet strained. "Li Wei is not just an artist, she is the person I choose to be with, and that should be respected." His declaration reverberated, solidifying a choice forged in love, but haunted by familial expectations. Amidst the growing chaos, Minji felt a rush of clarity wash over her. She stepped forward, her voice breaking through the din. "What really matters is our happiness, and for too long we've let fear dictate our choices," she said. The crowd shifted, intrigued by her sudden boldness. "I've made mistakes, and I regret the pain I caused, but we need to move beyond this rivalry and unite instead." With renewed determination, Minji revealed her sacrifices, explaining how she had tried to escape her identity at the expense of those around her. The room fell silent, tension palpable as her heartfelt confession resonated. "I thought that isolating myself would bring freedom, but actually, all it did was lead to more pain." The truth of her admission struck a chord within both Jungho and Li Wei, causing them to reflect on their own suffering. Jungho's mother, taken aback by Minji's heartfelt vulnerability, experienced a flicker of doubt. This was not the daughter-in-law she had envisioned, a mere pawn in her family's game, but a person capable of growth and understanding. Li Wei seized the opportunity and turned to her as well. "We can't keep carrying the burdens of our past. Let's support one another, rather than tear each other apart." The tide began to shift, the raw honesty between the three converging in a moment where forgiveness began taking root. Jungho looked at Li Wei, the spark of hope igniting within him, and knew they needed to confront the source of their pain together. In a powerful moment of unity, the three stood, faces resolute against the antagonism of Jungho's family. "If we are to build our lives on trust and love, we must choose to do so together," Jungho said, his conviction unwavering. The room vibrated with energy. The guests could feel the palpable change as the air became charged with a mix of tension and anticipation. As the confrontation solidified into an unexpected alliance, it dawned on them that their road would not be easy. Jungho's mother still harbored her beliefs, the old rivalries lingering in the background, but witnessing the emerging bond among the trio softened her stance. Stepping away from the chaos, Jungho took Li Wei's hand, intertwining their fingers, a silent promise made amidst the uncertainty. Minji watched them, her heart lightening, realizing that healing didn't solely involve erasing the past, but rather acknowledging it and stepping forward without fear. In that glimmering ballroom, they faced the future together, illuminated by the lessons learned and the strength they drew from each other's stories. Each day promised new challenges, but with their unity, They would rise to meet them, no longer confined by the expectations of others. The night may have begun with accusations and a sense of conflict, but it closed with the warmth of forgiveness, setting the stage for a new chapter filled with hope, understanding, and a promise of resilience against whatever storms might come their way. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. In the aftermath of chaos, true strength emerges from the dust. The tension-filled ballroom had transformed into a sanctuary of reflection, with Li Wei, Jung-ho, and Minji standing together under the shimmering lights. Raw emotions lingered in the air, but amid the echoes of their confrontation, a newfound determination pulsed through them, urging each to embrace the unique path laid before them. As they stepped outside into the cool night, Jung-ho let out a breath he hadn't known he was holding. "We can't live under my mother's expectations any longer," he said, his voice steady. The glow of street lamps illuminated his features, revealing a mix of resolve and vulnerability. "I need to take control of my life, for my happiness and for both of you." Li Wei nodded, her heart swelling with admiration as she recognized the changes in him. From this moment, she pledged to support him wholeheartedly. We all need to redefine our boundaries, not just with her, but also with ourselves. Her gaze flickered toward Minji, who stood slightly apart, the weight of her past settling heavily on her shoulders. Minji sensed the shift in the air, realizing that the evening's events had cast her into the light of introspection. "For too long, I've let fear dictate my decisions. I was afraid of the past catching up to me, but I don't want that anymore," she admitted, her voice firm, yet tinged with vulnerability. The honesty within her words broke the invisible wall that had kept them tethered to their tumultuous history. With a clean slate as their shared foundation, they began to explore their aspirations together. Li Wei embraced her artistic talents, not only to heal but to give back to the community. She envisioned a series of charitable exhibitions that would allow her to use her art for philanthropic purposes. "I want my work to inspire others, to show them they can overcome adversity," she declared, the determination radiating from her. Jung-ho, inspired by Li Wei's passion, took charge of his family business, driven to make decisions that honored his own values, rather than succumbing to the pressures of legacy. Late nights of discussion turned into plans of action. "I can't just inherit what my father built. I want to make it better, not just for me, but for everyone who struggled under the burden of expectations," he expressed during one such late-night brainstorming session. Minji found herself eager to join the journey, feeling like she could finally contribute something meaningful to their shared goals. "Let's collaborate. I'll help organize community-driven events that can showcase Li Wei's art while promoting my advocacy efforts for personal growth," Minji proposed, her eyes alight with newfound ambition. This idea blossomed in the aftermath of their confrontation, melding their strengths and passions into a resonant mission. As their bond grew deeper, the three of them established a rhythm, each day offering them new opportunities to learn about one another. Laughter filled the spaces once occupied by doubt, and the joy of their mutual support uplifted them. Gradually, the weight of their previous misunderstandings began to lift, replaced by harmony. However, just as they settled into their new routines, the shadows of the past threatened to invade their fragile peace. Jung-ho's mother returned, determined to regain control over her son's choices and to meander her influence back into their lives. "You think you can just turn your back on family traditions?" she challenged during another gala, her icy demeanor cutting through the festive air. Minji felt the tension stretching like a taut wire, ready to snap. This time, however, Jung-ho stood firm. "I am choosing my happiness and my path, and I won't let you dictate my life anymore," he said loudly, his voice echoing through the gala, holding the audience's attention captive. The air crackled with a mix of disbelief and admiration as guests watched the confrontation unfold. Together, Li Wei and Minji stepped up alongside him, embodying a solidarity that shook the foundations of expectations that had loomed over them for far too long. "I refuse to be a pawn in this game any longer," Minji declared, her heart pounding. "We are not your playthings." The unity among the three radiated an undeniable strength, pushing back against the manipulative grip of Jung-ho's mother. In that climactic moment, something shifted. The realization washed over Jung-ho's mother that her iron grip on her son's life could not withstand the love and support he had found outside of her expectations. For the first time, as she witnessed the passion and friendship shared among the trio, she began to consider the possibility of change and reconciliation. Gradually, acceptance and respect filled the void left by tension. The confrontation that had initially been threatening instead opened the door to understanding and growth. Jung-ho, Li Wei, and Minji stood together, bound not only by their experiences, but also by their resolve to support one another. As they gazed upon the unfolding possibilities, Li Wei offered a gentle smile. "We could create a new legacy, one built on love, acceptance, and our individual truths." She felt the weight lifting from her heart, and Jung-ho nodded, inspired by the vision they had forged together, while Minji's steadfast determination confirmed their pact. The road ahead would be filled with challenges, likely requiring them to navigate the complexities of family, expectations, and each other's aspirations. Yet they moved forward together, armed with the knowledge that true strength lies in unity, love, and the courage to forge their own destinies. Even amidst the uncertainty, hope flickered like a star against the night sky, shining brightly for all to see, illuminating their futures as they stepped forward into a world filled with promise. If this story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. In the delicate twilight of their past, love finds a way to heal. The gallery buzzed with anticipation as the final notes of summer lingered in the air, each vivid painting telling a story of resilience, hope, and the transformative power of forgiveness. Li Wei stood at the center of it all, surrounded by bright canvases that captured her tumultuous journey of love and the lessons learned along the way. This was her moment to shine, to share the depths of her heart with those who had witnessed her struggles and triumphs. As the crowd filled the space, laughter and soft chatter harmonized with the art that adorned the walls. Each piece was a reflection not only of her journey, but also of the bonds she had forged with Jung-ho and Minji. Tonight she was determined to showcase not just her talent, but also the healing that had come from their shared experiences. Jung-ho stood proudly by her side, his presence radiating support and unwavering commitment. "Every stroke tells a story," Li Wei addressed the gathering, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "These paintings reflect the truth I found within myself, the courage to forgive, and the love that continues to grow amongst all of us." Her gaze swept across Jung-ho and Minji, who stood a few paces behind, their expressions a blend of admiration and shared understanding. But the night took a surprising turn when, among the guests, an unexpected visitor arrived. Jung-ho's mother, her expression unreadable as she surveyed her surroundings. Tension cascaded through the room, like a ripple moving across water. Li Wei's heart thudded in her chest. She hadn't anticipated the presence of the one person who had always sought to control the narrative of their lives. Feeling the sudden chill, Jung-ho squeezed Li Wei's hand, silently expressing his support. "This is our night," he whispered with quiet determination. With their strength combined, the three of them had faced daunting challenges together. They would not let the lingering shadow of his mother's disapproval dim their moment. As the night progressed, Jung-ho's mother approached them, her expression softened by an undeniable intrigue from the artwork. "Your pieces are impressive, Li Wei," she remarked, the edge in her tone blunted by genuine observation and perhaps a trace of begrudging admiration. "But what are you really trying to say with these? Are they merely for show, or do they hold deeper meanings?" Bracing herself for a potential confrontation, Li Wei took a deep breath. "They represent my journey. They represent us, all of us, standing here." Her voice emerged steady with newfound confidence. "Art has the power to challenge perceptions, to reveal truths we need to face." The conviction in her words summoned a hush over the gallery. In that moment of vulnerability, Minji finally found her voice. We're here to support each other, regardless of the past. None of us are defined by our mistakes anymore. Her gaze met Jungho's mother's, determination like a beacon reflecting her own path to growth. Together, we can create something meaningful, something that can inspire change. The unexpected alliance of the three women and Jungho shifted the tension in the room. With their collective voices rising above the noise, they began to redefine the narrative, crafting a shared pathway toward understanding and acceptance. Jungho's mother, struck by their united front, began to see her son's happiness through the lens of their bonds, rather than the power struggles she'd once held dear. As laughter resumed, the evening unfolded with moments of joy mixed with heartfelt conversations. Li Wei, Jungho, and Minji reveled in every interaction while gathering strength from one another. They learned to balance their love for each other with the expectations that family pressures imposed. Each artwork served as a reminder that they were no longer bound by the shadows of their pasts. Instead, they could shape a future crafted from forgiveness and unity. When the time came for Li Wei to announce her plans for future exhibitions focused on philanthropy, she felt a surge of energy resonate within her. "Part of my journey involves giving back," she declared, her smile radiant. "I want to use the proceeds from this event to support art therapy programs for those seeking their paths to healing. Art can transform lives. It transformed mine." Amidst the applause and cheers from the guests, Jungho took the opportunity to voice his commitment as well. "I've taken charge of my family's company, and I promise to make decisions that reflect my values, not just those of my family," he stated, clarity ringing in his tone. "It's time to create a legacy we can all be proud of. From my choices, through Li Wei's art, to Minji's dreams." With the lightness of newfound freedom enveloping them, the connections they had forged showed that while the path ahead was uncertain, their resolve would guide them. The beauty of their shared journey opened doors to possibilities unseen, transforming rivalries into friendships and creating a bond cemented by mutual support. As the evening drew to a close, Li Wei, Jungho, and Minji stood united before the lingering shadows of doubt. They shared smiles brimming with hope, each heart now ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, intertwined in a tapestry of love, support, and resilience. The warmth of their shared triumph danced through the air, imbuing them with renewed spirits as they collectively embraced the artistry of life waiting just beyond the horizon. This story of love, resilience, and self-discovery touched your heart. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional and romantic tales. Do you think love can overcome all obstacles, even when dark secrets are revealed? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more exciting stories like this.